Coming to the trunk, it's one of the most versatile tool an elephant has got. The trunk is so powerful it can uproot a tree. The trunk is got a subtle tool. I think it's got the maximum number of muscles at the very tip of the tongue. It can pick up a needle effortlessly from the ground. You put a straw, it can pick up a straw, it can uproot a tree. Now, a trunk symbolizes the buddhi, the intellect of a human being. So the trunk can perform the most grossest of acts or the most subtlest of acts. So the intellect is also of twofold kind. Intellect is gross and subtle. Every human being is blessed with it. Gross and subtle. Now, what does intellect do? The intellect job, it has various roles, but in the context, intellect is that which discriminates, which distinguishes, which demarcates. It makes a choice, this from that. So the intellect is a function. Intellect is only one. But based on the field of operation, it can be called gross or subtle. No, since I didn't get a question so far, I was concerned a little bit. That's why I'm clarifying. Are you following? Now I'm comfortable. I'm explaining what that gross and subtle means. Correct, sir? What else is there? G-R-O-S-E, gross. Others correct, huh? So gross. A grass. Grouse. So which one you felt, sir? Correct. In context of it. Banking. So gross and subtle. Now, as I've said, equipment is one, intellect is one, but it becomes gross based on the field of operation. It becomes subtle where you operate it. And the function of the intellect is to discriminate. Now, when the intellect is discriminating within the terrestrial realm, within the periphery of the terrestrial world, the operation is called gross. It's gross intellect. I'm able to differentiate between a friend and a foe. I'm able to differentiate between black and white. You're able to differentiate profit and loss, rich and poor, electron and neutron. Any discrimination you can make from the most basic to the most subtle, as long as is within the realm of the terrestrial world, it is termed gross. The most subtle distinction a scientist makes, or a doctor goes under the microscope and makes a distinct difference between the two molecules or whatever. What operation is it? Gross intellect. You can be a brilliant businessman. You will have accounts in your fingertips. A brilliant accountant or a brilliant architect, brilliant mathematician. Gross intellect, sir. But when the intellect is differentiating between the only one pair, the only pair is on one side is the terrestrial world, or other side is a transcendental reality. So when you ask this simple question, is this God? Is this God? You're putting the world on one side and God on the other side. Does this take me to God? Does this remind me of God? So when you are differentiating world and God, that is the realm of subtle intellect. When you go to the market, you pick up their stale brinjals, fresh brinjals. How do you pick up the best brinjal? What intellect are you using, ma? Subtle intellect, gross intellect. You don't need subtle intellect for buying brinjals. Use the intellect in the worldly transaction is grosser. When you use the same intellect to understand God, as Adi Shankaracharya says, what is the intellect? Nitya anitya viveka vicharam. The distinction between the eternal and ephemeral. Nitya, the constant distinction. The constant distinction between the eternal and ephemeral. That is subtle intellect. The context is Hanuman. Hanuman is a classic example. His mind got stuck to Rama, and thereafter only thing he did is he thought of Rama and Rama alone. Thereafter nothing interested him. That capacity to have the attention and thought on the self is the strength of your subtle intellect. Now, the fact that you're here, you have a subtle intellect. Whether is it sharp or blunt, that's the difference. You may have a sharp gross intellect, but you may not have a subtle intellect at all. Very, very dull. But a person may have a sharp, subtle intellect. He may not be as sharp in the worldly transactions. As I say, street smart. He may not be street smart, but he has a sharp, subtle intellect. It's a matter of application. If he wants, he can develop a sharp, gross intellect as well.